1/4 inch 4/16, or you want 5/16?
I would do 5/16.
All right.
Yeah. It's easier to take material off than try to fill it in later.
Okay, that's 5/16.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep. Last time on Cabin Soul from Scratch, you saw me cutting out these holly slats, and in between I was gluing them in and just trying to test them out to see how they would actually look. These ones are already glued in, and I started shaping them down to their final thickness. This one I think is probably the best one, but you see I chewed up a little bit of the teak around it, so I'm going to have to clean that up. This one, you can see a little bit of a gap on it. It's not too bad. The ones that I had over here were a lot worse, so I actually went ahead and ripped them back out using a sharpened chisel. And I've got new slats of holly that I had cut on a table saw. One of my lovely neighbors was kind enough to offer his table saw. And so these are 5/16 inch wide, and I have a new power planer that I can use to bring them down to a nice even 1/4 inch thick. Then the plan is to cut the long way there by hand, because I've found while cutting these ones out that the Dremel setup I had before was not powerful enough. It destroyed itself after that last episode where I used it and rendered itself useless. So doing these by hand isn't too tough, and that is how I will be proceeding. You'll also notice I'm missing a chunk of teak right here. That one I was power planing this strip of holly and got a little bit too aggressive, and it ate into that teak. So I'm planning on cutting this whole strip out and gluing in a new one. It hopefully won't look too mismatched, but we'll see what it comes out to look like. So I have some new fresh holly cut out. These will go in their corresponding slots next. To get them into the final shape for these, I'm going to be using a very sharp chisel to trim down both the edges in here that are dirty and the edges of the holly strip. And once it's in like this one, I'll go ahead and run glue in the groove and press fit it in. I found that they're tight enough to where you don't need to really clamp them down or put pressure on them. They really just kind of stay where they are once you've hammered them in place. So we'll fit this one next and kind of go down sequentially. At some point I'll have to, fill that in. And I have 1, 2, 3, and about 1/8 of a strip cut out and fitted. They are now ready for glue. I will let them dry for a few days before I come back and try to shave them down to make them match that. I also kept ripping this out, so I think what I'm going to do for this section is actually do that whole segment. That way it matches a little bit better than just cutting it off right there. And then we'll have these two left to go. But I won't be doing that right now because I've got a margarita, there's a party going on up at the club, and I really want to enjoy that beautiful sunset. Okay, I have all the holly embedded into the wood, so now I'm going to use my power planer to get some of these closer to the level of the teak. Once they're close, I'll come back with a chisel and some very gritty sandpaper to get them flush like they are on this side. After that, I'll fill in some of the cracks with a dark wood filler that will eventually kind of match the teak. And once this is all done, I'll clean up the wood a lot more and trace out the pattern that I need for the flooring. That way I can cut it before I do any of the coloring. I don't want to color it until it's been cut into the final shape because I'll have to seal it with epoxy at some point as well, and that could damage the coloring if I don't do that carefully. But let's go ahead and get planing. That's what I get for going too fast and not really paying attention. I just took a bite out of these two. I might be okay with that because inevitably this corner might get cut off. So I'm going to just keep going and hope for the best for the rest of this. And if I need to, I will have to come back and replace these damaged teak bits. But yeah, we'll keep on going. Okay. Now kind of as close as I'm willing to get to it without damaging it, at least without damaging it more than I already have. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the chisel. So I have it sanded smooth and ready for the next step, which will be to cut and color. I've gone ahead and made a template for the corner pieces, so I'm going to use that to optimize the spacing on this, and also I'll have to cut out a panel here for the access hatch that goes in the middle of this. So yeah, we'll have one more episode and then I'll be installing it finally. So I look forward to that. If you've been watching since the beginning, thanks for sticking around. And if you're new here, welcome. And comment down below if you have any questions or comments. I'll see you next time.